Kansas. I'm Anuja Menon.
And I'm Kaylin Schleski. So far, many Native American tribes have been displaced and forced to move westward because we have been claiming their territory. In Washington, treaties have been made between Congress and Native American tribes such as the Delaware, Shawnee, Fox, and many more. These treaties will have tribes open up parts of Kansas territory for American settling. On a separate note, tensions have arisen due to the passing of the Kansas-Nebraska Act. For more information, we'll go to Alina Dave in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, Kaylin. Recently, the Kansas-Nebraska Act was passed, and it has caused quite a riot among the settlers living in the Kansas-Nebraska territory. This act was an 1854 bill that allowed settlers of a specific territory to decide whether slavery would be allowed within their new state's border. This principle has also been referred to as popular sovereignty. In the past, 4 attempts to organize a single territory for this area had already been defeated by Congress, mainly because of the Southern opposition to the Missouri Compromise. Stephen Douglas, proposer of this act, used this bill to override the Missouri Compromise's use of freedom to create a border between slavery and free territory. Before this, any states above the 30-degree parallel were claimed to be free, and the Kansas-Nebraska territory was just above this line. This act also violated the Compromise of 1850, which was a series of bills that were passed to retain the balance of power between slave and free states, following the gain of the new territory from the Mexican-American War. This compromise abolished slave trade, but not slavery. Currently, there are many distraught settlers that are deliberating the consequences to come from the passing of this act. Back to you, Anuja.
Well, thank you, Alina. Today we were going to have a special guest here, the new territorial governor of Kansas, Mr. John W. Geary. Nope. But unfortunately he could not make it today, so we have the Senator of Illinois, Senator Stephen Douglas.
Thank you for letting me be on the show.
Thanks for being here on such short notice. So, Senator, why did you decide to push the Kansas-Nebraska Act through Congress?
Well, Nuja, I wanted the act to pass because it will officially make the Kansas-Nebraska territory an actual territory. Also, it's right now a territory that's up for grabs for anyone to take, and why not have the U.S. take it for itself to expand westward, which we need to do since we've been tentative in the past.
But what do you think the repercussions of the Kansas-Nebraska Act will be concerning the Missouri Compromise and Compromise of 1850?
Both these compromises, they really have not solved the problem of slavery permanently, and the country has virtually been divided over it. But with the Kansas-Nebraska Act, I believe that it will help very much with the slavery crisis, because it allows people to choose if they're slave states or free states depending on the popular vote of the people. So this should be implemented throughout the country to make life easier on the Congress and the normal civilian population.
It's known that you're working to become a candidate for the presidential election of 1856, but how do you plan on gaining Northern support if most of your actions have been pro-slavery?
My choices may seem that they are pro-slavery, but actually they are for the majority in the practice of popular sovereignty, and I also believe that the community should make their decisions for themselves and not for Congress. And especially when it's over the dispute of slavery, so. Yeah.
Thank you for your time. And then up next, we have Lauren Gross in New York to talk about Bleeding Kansas.
Thank you for letting me be on the show.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thanks, Kaylin. Bleeding Kansas is a physical and political issue about Kansas becoming a free state or a slave state. It is between the northern Free Staters and the southern Border Ruffians. The New England Emigrant Aid Company organized and sent thousands of people to Kansas in the hope of making it a free state, while thousands of Border Ruffians also came to Kansas in the hope of making it a slave state. Violence started in 1855 when Charles Doe was shot by pro-slavery settlers, starting the Walker-Russo War. After that was the Battle of Blackjack featuring John Brown, and after that was the Battle of the Osawatomie. It is not only a violent issue, but also a political battle. In 1854, the Shawnee Mission of Border Ruffians won pro-slavery for Kansas, and the Topeka Constitution was drafted. It was passed in 1856, and it has recently been found that the vote to pass it was illegally influenced. Congress is now forced to choose between the Topeka Constitution and the Lecompton Constitution. With John W. Geary as the new territorial governor, which constitution will Congress choose, and will the peace between the Border Ruffians and the Free Staters only be temporary? We asked a member of the New England Emigrant Aid Company what they thought. Hi, I'm Lauren Gross from Period 10 News. Can I ask you a few questions?
Sure.
Why do you want Kansas to be a free state, and why do you think the Lecompton Constitution is better than the Topeka Constitution?
Slavery is wrong and none of the states should allow it. Having Kansas as a slavery state will just worsen the situation. Also, the states near Kansas, Illinois, and Iowa are free. The Lecompton Constitution is better for the states because it prohibits slavery and it forms a secure government rather than a shadow government.
Thank you for your time. Back to you, Kaylin.
Thanks, Lauren. Kaylin, do you think that the Kansas-Nebraska Act has brought about problems that have been long ago buried?
I do think that, but in a way it's a blessing because we need to solve the problem of slavery as soon as possible.
That's true, but this could spiral out of control because we saw very differing opinions from the North and South. Senator Douglas from Illinois advocated slavery ardently, whereas Poudre from the North in New York was hostile towards a Kansas war and slavery.
Well, the divide has been dug deeper with the addition of new territories to our nation. Do you think we could lapse into a civil war?
It's entirely possible that this country could lapse into civil war because sectionalism is becoming more and more prevalent, and, well, the divide between the North and South has become increasingly tense.
Hopefully Congress can work out a compromise sooner rather than later.
Yes, we do have Henry Clay, the great compromiser. But for now, let's go to Alina Dave with the weather.
Tornado alert. There's an upcoming tornado that is planned to hit Kansas City, so please stay inside.